Good evening and a very warm welcome back to the channel. Guys, after a brief break, I'm back on the road and heading over to Dubai. Tonight, could be flying with Emirates in their economy class, aboard their flagship route from here, London Heathrow, through to Dubai. Let's check out how they're getting on in 2023. After a couple of months of no travel, it was exciting to be back on the road. On that particular occasion, took an Uber down to Heathrow, where we firstly passed the brand new and very glitzy Terminal 2, otherwise known as the Queen's Terminal, before then arriving into Terminal 3. Alrighty, so that's us arrived at Heathrow's Terminal 3. This time with Virgin Atlantic and also many One World airlines. It's also where Emirates fly out of, at least when I last checked. So a bit of a gamble tonight, but we'll soon find out if indeed Emirates are still operating out Terminal 3. Checking up next, let's see how they do. I've flown a fair bit with Emirates in the last year or so, and I've really enjoyed their automated check-in approach for economy passengers. On that particular evening, the business class and first class desks were indeed manned, but for economy passengers, they can make use of the automated approach, and it was nice and easy to fix your own baggage tags on, and you know the rest from there. For departures at Terminal 3, you head just upstairs, where there's then the standard and fast track lane. I was really missing not having access to fast track on that particular evening. It did take around 30 or so minutes to clear security, but once we were through, we then decided to head to a Priority Pass lounge to make the most of my current membership with Priority Pass. Now, of course, as an economy passenger lacking higher level status with Emirates, I wasn't able to use their lounge facilities. More on that a little bit later. That said, through the Priority Pass system, you can gain access to a range of different lounges across the world, and that gained us access into the #1 lounge on that evening. Upon arrival, the lounge itself was incredibly busy, which did make filming a little bit tricky. That said, the lounge did have a full service bar, a small buffet, and its own dedicated toilet, and even cinema facilities. Whether I'd use the lounge again into the future really will come down to how busy it was. Whilst the staff were absolutely lovely, when it's really busy, a restaurant might be a slightly better option. As for the Emirates Lounge, this is something that is offered to economy passengers. On that particular evening, the price was around £100 per person, so that is something that you may wish to consider as well. So the wait's finally over, it's finally time to get on board here at Heathrow. Getting pretty late, approaching 9 o'clock at night, so it'll be nice to get on, get some sleep. I'm sure they'll be serving up a small snack, so we'll bring that one to you and jump on board very quickly indeed. See you on board. Despite arriving at the gate almost an hour before departure, boarding was almost underway by the time I arrived. It was incredibly slickly managed, and it wasn't long at all before we were on board. Emirates operate a total of 6 A380s a day from London Heathrow, and it was great to be back on board their flagship product. On that particular occasion, managed to bag a seat in the front cabin. That's certainly where I'd recommend sitting. All the way across, it seats largely in a 3-4-3 layout, but if you can bag a seat in that forward cabin, it's certainly a nice space to get, and it will ensure that you exit the plane ahead of most other economy passengers. Getting settled into the seat, it was once again an absolute abundance of space by modern economy standards. It was nice to have the added overhead lighting and also air vents, but it's a very light, bright and airy feel of cabin on the A380. The seatbacks boasted the most up-to-date entertainment screens, so we'll check those out a little bit later and contrast them to a slightly older screen on the return flight. In terms of the rest of the back of the seat, yeah, everything that you'd expect. Plenty of charging, slightly smart features, also with the fold out of the tray table design, and very nice and solid indeed. I'm a big fan of the airshow with Emirates, and not least these most up-to-date cameras. Some of the image quality is incredibly clear. It wasn't long at all for our friend just here out the front of the aircraft was ready to push us back and get us started on our way out to Dubai. As we make final preparations to depart, should say that the channel is just coming up to its first year's birthday. Thank you so much to everyone who's joined the journey so far. If you're new to the channel, I have dozens of aviation-based reviews on the channel, so if this is your thing and you'd like to stay connected with the channel and the upcoming reviews that I have coming on, hit that subscribe button and YouTube will welcome you on board with the rest of us. Well, as ever, a silky smooth departure with the Airbus A380. Our routing on that particular night would see a flight duration of 6 hours and 15 minutes as we flew southeast over Europe, overflew Athens and indeed the Greek islands, over the Med and finally across Saudi Arabia before arriving into Dubai around 8:45 a.m. It was to be a real red-eye flight on that particular evening, but quickly Emirates set a really nice cabin ambiance. I love this star feature across the top of the cabin. It's the only airline that does it as far as I know, and it's certainly a nice way to settle into the flight. Before we get into this evening's food, let's quickly check out the entertainment system. In terms of the headphones, the best quality I've ever seen just there in economy. They do have the small leather surround, so that was certainly something that was very nice indeed. As for the ICE entertainment system, yeah, we've taken a look at it before on the channel. It has a huge heap of different movies, both up-to-date entertainment options, but also a whole library of previous options as well, so you'll certainly never get bored on an Emirates flight. I mentioned a little bit earlier about those up-to-date entertainment screens. Here is a quick shot from the return flight where they had the slightly older screens. Certainly with the newer ones you did notice the difference. On the Wi-Fi front, that was available with messaging for free throughout the entire flight, which I thought was really very generous indeed. There was then a couple of additional packages if you did then want to upgrade as well. As ever now with Emirates, the food menus in economy were accessible via a device, be that a phone or perhaps a tablet. On that particular evening, there was a full evening meal service that was served and then a light breakfast shortly before landing. In terms of the menu, as ever with Emirates, they had some really nice options on there. It did make me laugh a little bit, that upsell of the champagne just there for economy passengers. I didn't see anyone on that occasion pick up with that particular option. That said, when the food arrived, it was incredibly plentiful. I'm not sure if there's been a slight upgrade post the COVID era with the Emirates catering, but I was absolutely bowled over by the sheer amount of choice and selection available. Take my meal just here, for example. I had a starter, a main course, a bread roll, a dessert, cheese and biscuits, and then finally chocolate and even a cookie to finish it off. So I counted around 5 or 6 different courses in total. Everything was accompanied with real metal cutlery, so that almost gave a slightly premium economy-esque type feel and certainly added to a feeling of really quite a premium economy food offering. This was the food offering on the way back, and once again you can see a really wide plethora of different elements on the plate. Emirates really do like to load everything up. I would say if you are looking to sleep through a meal service, I would let the cabin crew know before you go to sleep, because they do have a policy of waking people up. Food is clearly a really important priority on an Emirates flight. Well, as dawn broke, breakfast was very quickly brought around. This was to be a far more simple type of offering. This was really just a quick snack before landing, so not too much could be expected in this regard, but certainly a nice way for passengers to start their day shortly before landing into Dubai. The morning segment of the flight gave me a nice opportunity to get around the cabin and stretch my legs. We were around 90 or so minutes out of Dubai at this particular moment in time, so it did give me the opportunity to have a bit of a walk around and check out the rest of the facilities open to economy passengers on this flight. Now, my first stop on this particular journey was actually the bathroom. Now, this wouldn't usually be super interesting in economy, or for that matter anywhere else, but as economy bathrooms go, I'm sure as you'll all agree, this was absolutely palatial, and it was even adorned with some quite nice toiletries, so top marks to Emirates in this particular regard. Those of you who travel regularly will know that the economy bathrooms are certainly not the highlight of any particular journey, but they certainly did all they can to make them as good as possible just here. Tour of the plane over, it was then time to take our seats for the landing. As ever, made full use of these fantastic cameras as we made our descent into Dubai. Overall, a fantastic experience with Emirates. Would certainly use them again in economy. I think they're certainly up there with the class leaders. Guys, stay tuned to the channel. I will be doing an Emirates versus Qatar Airways comparison in the coming weeks to compare two of the absolute giants of the aviation space in economy at this moment in time. Otherwise, until then, hope you enjoyed the video, and I look forward to welcoming you to another trip really soon.